I'm going to start out the show with a layered Mexican fiesta salad. Later I'm going to do a wonderful layered dessert with cherries and a wonderful crust, and a layered fruit salad too that is just beautiful. All these three dishes are great if you need to bring a dish to pass, which that happens all the time, you know, where you've got to go to a luncheon or a potluck or maybe somebody's house. These are going to be a real wow factor when you bring them, and everybody's going to be asking for the recipe. Normally, I do this layered fiesta salad in a trifle dish, a clear glass bowl on a pedestal, or any type of a clear, dish so you can see the layers. But very much on trend these days are doing foods, salads, desserts, dips, different recipes in glass jars. In fact, some of the top restaurants in the country are actually serving different dips, salads, and especially desserts in different jars. So you're all familiar with these. These are just ball canning jars. Later I'm going to do a wonderful dessert in this size, which is the 8-ounce ball canning jars. Salads are wonderful to do in the bigger canning jar, and it's nice to be able to do the wide mouth jar so that you can layer them in there very easily. Also, you could just do some of these salads and desserts in like a glass tumbler like this. Just pick this up for 99 cents. A lot of times you can find them at garage sales, rummage sales, Goodwill. This is kind of a neat container also to layer different desserts or fruit salads so that everyone gets their own. That's very, very much on trend is, you know, when you go to a restaurant, getting your own little casserole, or in this case, instead of a piece of pie, because of presentation, you'll get a layered pie in a dish like this. So you're going to hear and see more and more about, doing things in jars and glass dishes. Also, there's that whole plastic thing. A lot of people don't like eating out of plastic containers. They don't like the taste of the food. There are certain concerns about chemicals. So this is a great way to, using glass dishes is very green, good for the environment. Great for parties, presentation, to have a bunch of these, on a tray. They're wonderful for picnics. You can pack them in picnics. They're easy to pack. And they also look really, really cool. And that's probably the neatest part about them. So let's get to work on this layered fiesta salad. This is just couldn't get any easier. It's just a breeze to make, and it looks fantastic. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the dressing. And I'm going to do these, picked up these great jars. So these actually have like a snap lid, and they're just really cool. So, and again, not expensive. You can wash them, use them over and over and over again. So we're starting out with sour cream, equal parts sour cream and guacamole. And this is just some guacamole we picked up already pre-made at Festival Foods. A little bit of garlic powder too, just to kind of pump up the flavor of that sour cream. So we're going to do a little sour cream and guacamole. You could certainly make your own guacamole if you'd like. That's up to you. We're going to keep it real simple here. I'm just going to whisk the two of them together, and this is what's going to go on the top of the salad. It's going to be the dressing, I guess you'd say. And it turns out to be a really nice light green color. You could certainly use light sour cream too if you wanted to lighten this up a little bit. So there we go. Dressing is done. Very, very easy. Okay, so now we've picked up some canned beans. Black beans work, pinto beans work, but it's real important when you are using the canned beans in a salad, and a lot of the recipes to drain and rinse them. So I'm just going to open up the can because there's a liquid inside that's just not so great, and we want to rinse that, get that out of there. Beans are really good for you. I'm always trying to put more beans in salads. And it used to be that my kids, when I'd make chili, they would take out every little bean. And nowadays, they're getting so much better. And I can start putting beans in more and more recipes. Kind of cranks up the protein. This is going to be a great thing to bring for lunch or bring on a picnic or to a potluck, because we don't have to worry about, there's no meat. It's all vegetables and a pretty healthy dish. So our first layer we're going to do is a layer of the beans. Pinto beans, as I said, or black beans. Either one are going to work great. Both very, very good for you. So that's going to go in the bottom of our jar, or if you're doing this in one, as one big salad, not individual salads, you could do them in a, as I said, a trifle bowl or a pretty glass dish. Okay. Now those beans don't have a ton of flavor, so what I'm doing now to kind of give them some great flavor is I've got 1 can of these are just diced green chilies. So I'm going to put on top of the beans. They're not spicy. Just love green chilies. They just have some really nice flavor. So I'm going to use a spoon. Now the key to this is you don't want to mix the layers together. You want to be able to see the pretty layers. And that's why we're using the jar. So we're going to do a layer of the green chilies. Just kind of spread them to the outside edges. You don't really want to push down. So you don't want to mash the beans, but just gently push the green chilies to the edge of the dish so that you'll be able to see that nice green color. And that's going to give the beans some great flavor too. All right. Now, speaking of color, I've got some corn here. This happens just to be frozen thawed corn. Canned corn would also work. Of course, fresh sweet corn in the summer, there's nothing better than that. And we always seem to have a couple extra ear of corn that I boil up. So it's a great way to use leftover corn. Just take it off the cob. And you can see how this is shaping up to be something really pretty. All right. Now we're going to do some shredded lettuce. I'm using romaine. I'm trying to get everybody to switch up. And if you like that great crunch of iceberg lettuce, to just switch it up and do romaine instead. So much better for you. Way more vitamin A and C. And it's just got that great same crunch. So the kids won't even really know the difference with tacos and all those recipes that we normally would use the iceberg, switch it up and use romaine. So I'm getting some lettuce in here. We're going to have some nice crunch. And I like this salad because it's a layered salad, and that's why I love my layered salads. You can make them ahead because the dressing sits on top, and that's really kind of the cool part of it. So if you're bringing this to a potluck, the salad's not going to get all mushy on you and soggy. So I'm taking some grape tomatoes and just cutting them in half. Cherry tomatoes would also work. You could have those, or you could just seed and dice some regular tomatoes. Just depends what you've got. So we're going to do some tomatoes. Again, a layer of the tomatoes for some great color. In fact, I was in Washington, D.C. over the summer and went to a very fancy restaurant and noticed that they serve many things in they had jars like this. They did some dips and things like that. And, it's just one of those things where we're going back to those things where, making homemade pickles and jams and things like that and presenting them in a glass dish shows that they were homemade. So that's kind of the trend that chefs are going for, and a lot of the pastry chefs, as I said, are layering things in beautiful clear containers because they really get that wow factor. Okay, now we're going to do some cheese. I've got some shredded cheddar cheese here. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of that guacamole sour cream mixture, and I'm going to spread a little of that on the top and then decorate the top. So the key to doing this is to Just kind of frost it like you would a cake. So do a little dollop of it. I'm going to get a little bit bigger spatula. Dollop or two. So if you're having a ladies' luncheon, how fun to have a tray of these so that everybody gets their own. Just kind of a fun little thing to do. So take a littler spatula, just kind of dollop this around, spread it around. It's just super cute. This trend is just starting. I think we're going to see lots more of it. And then we can take the top and decorate it a little bit. I've got a few black olives that we can scatter on the top. Maybe a few scallions. And they really are cute and very practical too. You can put the lid on this, take it to lunch if you don't overfill it, pack it in your lunch bag, and you will be, everyone's going to be coming over to your desk and saying, what do you got there? And then you just rinse out the jar and fill it again with another recipe down the road. Very much on trend now is doing this type of thing in clear containers and jars. So coming up later in the show, we're going to do a couple other ideas using some of these really pretty glass containers and putting some fun different recipes in them.